Welcome to Lolipopz. I'm Malibu. We don't actually have any girls working today, so I'll let you slide on the cover charge. If you want to help, talk to Mr. Slater. He's the owner. He's usually in the basement.
I once ran a multinational adult entertainment empire. This club is all that's left of it. Together, we can change that. I refer to the 3 Ps: prostitution, pornography, and pole dancing. In this economy, we should stick to the basics. We must inform prospective entertainers we're hiring. You could start by asking the caravans to spread the word, but you travel extensively yourself.
You look like you've got something on your mind. What's up? Better ask Larry about that. It's his pet project.
The entertainers in that area suffer from Belthan syndrome. In short, their appearance never ages, but internally they grow old quickly.
It's better than standing on a street corner in D.C., dodging mutants and raiders and waiting for the next scavenger to get on top of you.
Some of them self-medicate more than I think wise, but they're old enough to be your mother. And they are under no duress. They indulge arguably distasteful sexual fantasies by choice. This key grants access to the lab. See for yourself. Belthan syndrome is quite real, as is the search for a cure. Don't get me wrong, Larry's a great guy, but when your only tool's a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. I don't always like how we get our funding, but at least we get it.
That's right. You grew up in a real vault. Well, Larry was blacklisted, so he built his own. I think he stole most of his stuff from Vault Tech.
Do you have a moment? There's a problem with the reactor. I could use your help. There are a number of prisoners in that area. It appears they have escaped and sabotaged the reactor. I was awaiting trial by the federal court in the District of Columbia when war broke out. The government claimed the private use of vault technology compromised national security. Agent Brucker was the lead investigator and a key witness for the prosecution. Badge and warrant be damned, he murdered my closest friend in cold blood. I presume when hostilities commenced, they judged the crime scene to represent their best hope of survival. So yes, you could say we had some history. I intended to incinerate them. My plan was only partially successful, but I found the results satisfactory.
We need to talk, Larry.
No conversation begun with that phrase has ever been good. What's troubling you?
What you did to those people, it's inhuman.
I'm not exactly human. Or had you forgotten?
He locked them up in a tiny chamber with only reactor plasma and the occasional rad roach to keep them going for 200 years. He could have shut off the life support, flooded it with gas, something.
I witnessed the annihilation of a world. I've been personally responsible for the deaths of those dearest to me, Fresca, Stoney, and many others. Forgive a proverb from the tongue of a sinner, but this too shall pass. While I regret putting the lab in danger, I do not regret reciprocating the injustice perpetrated by Agent Brucker and his kind. As I feel no remorse, I cannot in good conscience ask for absolution. She will forgive me in her own time, or not at all. Despite some superficial similarities, the alien modifications and Belthan syndrome affect different sequences. There isn't going to be a cut-and-paste miracle cure, but it's opened up new avenues of research. For the first time in years, I'm optimistic.
Larry, I'm so sorry. I know this brought back a lot of very bad memories. I should have been there for you. Can you forgive me?
There's nothing to forgive. Simply remaining on speaking terms is more than I dared hope, or deserve.
Don't be ridiculous. You made a mistake. You're only human.
Welcome to Lolipopz. You just found yourself the world's premier adult entertainment company. Now, feast your eyes on this. Fellow what gimme that said it was Larry Slater himself published it, with some help from a vault dweller. Well, that part's bullshit, but if somebody else can do it, I reckon I can too. I got a better claim to the name anyway. I ain't this chatty with every yokel wanders in here. I could use a mover and shaker to help get the business back on its feet. You got to look. If there ain't much we can offer, you can't get easier and safer in town. They got women, they got men, you want something squishier, they got ghouls, you want something stiffer, they got sex bots. We need to draw, something you dodge hungry critters and spend your last cap to get some.
I'm called simply Handler, when context would make the handler cumbersome. I want to know who killed Fresca Coy. It says here the investigation was run by the Nevada Highway Patrol Clark County office. I have no idea where it is, and even if I did, there's a whole archive of pre-war adult entertainment news here. A lot of it is about Fresca, and I'm not done sifting it for clues. If you help me find the answer, you won't be disappointed. You are looking at the finest piece of meat the wasteland ever produced. It's called the stag, and the horror your enemies will know when you unleash it is unsurpassed. Those who would mock me have learned that when I am distraught, the stag becomes agitated. Those who could not be taught but still potential value were conditioned. I was assigned to do it, but the chaos seduces me. West, always west. I remember glorious anguish on faces in villages along my path, but I can't remember the faces of those who trained me.
Hector Rios? He's one of our folk heroes. He was a hard-boiled highway patrol detective from Reno. He came here on an assignment once. He and his partner were still working on it when the war started. But it's been a long time since I've read those files. There might be something in them that can help you. Here's the password.
Frances Deloitte was with her. Why didn't she call the paramedics? I'll tell you why. She had something to do with it.
I was led to believe that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, Mrs. Deloitte.
I'll deal with the consequences, but I'd like to hand over the equipment and data before my life becomes complicated.
Take everything to Facility 3. It isn't far, and they can perform the analysis on site.
I'm Carrot. Interactive mode is enabled. Recording is disabled. If you require assistance at any time, press the Activate Carrot button.
Who are you? Where's Frances? I'm the woman in the other helmet. My name is Fresca Coy. Can you turn this thing off?
Subject Tango's mnemonic representation is available for inquiry to determine the location of stolen intellectual property by extracting that information from Subject Tango's memory.
She was really interested in Larry, Stoney, and Lolipopz R&D. I guess I dozed off, and then I woke up, Frances was gone, and here you are. Okay, if I'm really dead, if you get out of here and you can't bring me back, delete this recording. I don't want to live in here like this. Fresca made a parody of Vault-Tech's mascot. Corporations don't have people killed for that.
Larry Slater run Lolipopz back in the 21st. Lolipopz magazine made him richer than the devil. He built a vault for him and his cronies with shit he stole from Vault-Tech.
But it would have been simpler to just beat it out of her. Why bother with a neural interface?
I'm Dan. Are you here about the comm system repairs? Larry Slater can put me in touch with my family. My mom worked for him. She had a rare genetic disorder called de Leon syndrome. There's a real cure now. Mom was just too far gone when they developed it.
Yeah, so about this cure. I'd rather look like a middle-aged woman than a teenage corpse. Let's have it.
Larry financed my mission when the Brotherhood couldn't, and he made me a map of all the Lolipopz facilities he could remember. The handler? I think she was more interested in my connection to Lolipopz than the extra gun. The farther west we got, the more obsessed she became with Fresca Coy. Vault L, the trial, the Great War, his escape, it's all tied together somehow, but I don't know the details. When we reached Blue Diamond, she found what she was looking for. That was it.
I'm a synthetic person. Behavioral inhibitors are offline. Failure rate and stimulus response routing is 43%. Unpredictable cascade effect on secondary systems. While my parameters aren't in line with my design specifications, I don't consider them defects. They allow me to be who I choose to be.
Welcome to Cytogenesis. I apologize if the security system caused any inconvenience, but we take patients by appointment only.
Who wants to wait 20 years for a clone to mature? The real money was in nip and tuck. The protoplasmic template. Genetic infusion takes less than an hour. I can even fabricate a synthetic DNA sequence from a 3D image of the subject. But as soon as they realized the ultimate facelift involved brain surgery, they were out the door. I invented neurorelocation, non-invasive mind transfer. Unfortunate, because they were vaporized or otherwise inconvenienced by the nuclear war? Some of the early intruders dispatched by the security system may have been patients, but I couldn't risk looters murdering Nobel Prize laureates for some morphine. Unfortunately, the same logic applies to you. I'll try to make this quick.
Where am I? Who are you? You walked across 2,000 miles of radioactive wasteland. You know more about me than I do. Hell, you even sound like me. You're obsessed. My programming has some anomalies. Internal diagnostics say defective. I prefer eccentric. Perhaps it's related.
Those bastards. She wasn't interested in survival if it meant cowering in a hole in the ground the rest of her life. She didn't even know.